Colorado mourns a superhero gone too soon. A Denver shop taking a stand in his memory.
You're taking advantage of people's death. That's not something that anyone should be able or wanting to do.
Stand up, fight back!
Peaceful and persistent. Hundreds march in Denver and Aurora on an anniversary no one wants to remember, but they want to honor.
All lives have never mattered. They don't even matter today.
Plus, librarians living in fear.
I don't think you should leave any job and feel haunted.
The dangers just outside the door of this local library that keep coming back.
At a time when other parts of the country are seeing violent demonstration, hundreds here in Colorado are showing what peaceful protest looks like.
Today, they took to the streets to march from Denver to Aurora, or from Aurora to Denver, rather, calling for an end to racism and police brutality. Today also marks 1 year since the death of Elijah McClain. Thank you for joining us at 10 o'clock. I'm Jason Grenau.
And I'm Jacqueline Allen. Denver7's Lance Hernandez followed those protesters this afternoon, joins us live near the Capitol. Hey, Lance.
Well, an estimated 600 to 1,000 people took part in that protest today, walking 5.5 miles to share their message about the need to fight racism and brutality. Some of those folks coming from across the country to do so.
This is what community looks like.
Hundreds of people marched on Colfax from the MLK Library in Aurora to the MLK Memorial at Denver City Park.
I'm here to fight for justice for Elijah McClain. I flew in all the way from San Francisco, California, and I'm here to show support to my black brothers and sisters.
Mansour from San Francisco says no lives matter until Black lives matter. Once marchers got to Denver, police directed traffic off Colfax, one stretch at a time, to keep pedestrians safe. Along with hundreds on foot, there were dozens of cars honking horns. The event began with some fiery speakers in Aurora.
We're not only fighting white supremacy, but those who are afraid of change.
All lives have never mattered. They don't even matter today.
Terrence Roberts of the Frontline Party for Revolutionary Action talking about the neo-fascist Proud Boys.
You proud of babies in cages? Do all lives matter now?
As the march snaked along Colfax, customers at restaurants along the way got a close-up look. I asked this couple about their thoughts.
People need to listen and acknowledge that we have a race problem in this country, and you know, it starts here.
There's good cops and there's bad cops. We need to keep the bad cops accountable.
The march ended in City Park with another rally. Organizers exhorting participants to stay in groups and to stay safe. And tonight, traffic is flowing smoothly on Colfax, all the area businesses humming with activity on a very comfortable summer night. Lance Hernandez, Denver7.
Lance, thank you. And for months, people have been demonstrating across the U.S. to fight for equality. Many this past week have focused on justice for James Blake, who was shot by police in Kenosha, Wisconsin last Sunday. But last night in Portland, one person was killed after a violent confrontation during the daily demonstrations there. Now, many are calling for an end to the violence, including the Trump administration.
If you're going to protest, First Amendment right, please do that peacefully. Once you cross the line to violence, that is what's concerning to the Department of Homeland Security. That's what I'm focused on, making sure that we bring any type of violence in any of our cities to a close.
Both President Trump and Joe Biden tweeted today saying the violence is unacceptable. The president is set to visit Kenosha this Tuesday to meet with law enforcement and survey damage from demonstrations there.
Reaching their breaking point, an employee at Martin Luther King Library in Aurora says she has seen an increase in crime, violence, and drugs right outside the library's doors.
She says it's connected to the people experiencing homelessness who now live there.
Denver7's Ivan Rodriguez is looking into what the city is doing and why it hasn't worked.
Libraries are places of knowledge, imagination, and accessibility.
I absolutely love this library and I love what I do.
But at MLK Library in Aurora, one employee's passion for her job is being tested.
I don't think you should leave any job and feel haunted, but to leave the library and go home at night and all you can hear is the flashbacks of screams or seeing somebody punched in the face.
She's speaking about the increase in homeless people who have started living right outside the library's front doors.
I have seen violent sexual assaults Just this last week, there was a violent beating where a woman, she was beaten unconscious by 3 other women. And when we called the police, we showed them pictures we had taken on our phone and got a promise that they would call us back to follow up. That never happened.
She says the increase in trash, drug use, and violence are also leading to less people visiting the library.
We get calls, can you please send my books to another library? You're my neighborhood library, but I'm too afraid to come in. We get calls of, why aren't you guys doing anything about this? It's taking a toll, I think, on everybody, the patrons and the staff.
The city of Aurora confirms library staff have brought up their concerns to directors. In a statement, they say, we are meeting this week to determine the best course of action.
Sometimes facilities will come out and clean up. It's mostly my coworkers and I out here picking up things, bleaching, urine.
The city says the last time they addressed this encampment was in July. They say in part, it has come to our attention that some individuals have returned to this area, and we plan to send our outreach team out once again to offer transportation to the Aurora Day Resource Center, where counselors, resources, and other services are available.
We're not looking for perfect. We know where we are, we know the community that we serve, but what we're looking for is safe.
Ivan Rodriguez, Denver7.
All right, if you couldn't get online this morning, you're not alone. A massive internet outage affected websites and services across the country. CenturyLink was down for hours this morning, and that meant services including Hulu and Xbox Live just weren't working. Here in Colorado, Frontier Airlines website and Douglas County Schools website, those were a few of the websites having issues. CenturyLink confirmed there was an IP outage, saying all services were restored by 9:15 this morning.
Some students in Jefferson County will head back to school tomorrow. The district has orientations this week for students. Now, that same district started remote learning last week, but will move to in-person learning after Labor Day. Students still have the option to learn remotely. Meanwhile, all the dorms at Colorado College in Colorado Springs are now being quarantined after 10 coronavirus cases on campus in the last week. Students in those dorms will have contact only with their roommate, have meals delivered, and take classes remotely. The college placed Loomis Hall, one of its dorms, on lockdown earlier this month. As of tonight, that lockdown is still in place.
Colorado small businesses need a break after this pandemic. Starting tomorrow, they can apply online for one. The Energized Colorado Gap Fund includes grants and low-interest loans for small businesses that didn't get the Paycheck Protection Program. This fund has $25 million available. Colorado businesses with 25 employees or less can apply starting next week. Colorado is now reporting less than 200 new coronavirus cases today. The state's total number of cases is now more than 57,000. And here's how Colorado's hospital system is doing. 240 hospital beds are being used right now by coronavirus patients. That is up 15 from yesterday.
Paying their respects to the Black Panther.
Actor Chadwick Boseman passed away yesterday after a 4-year battle with colon cancer. As the world mourns, a local collectible store says they could have chosen to sell their Black Panther merchandise at a big markup.
Instead, they decided to take a different route.
A pop is a little figurine. It's kind of like a bobblehead, but most of them don't bobber.
And among the thousands on the shelves at Rocky Mountain Collectibles, there are several of one specific hero.
This is from the Captain America Civil War, where, Black Panther obviously had a huge part of the film.
But just days after the death of Chadwick Boseman, the man whose image these toys replicate,
you can already see the prices of pops that were $10 yesterday going up to $300. And even more so.
That's something that didn't sit well with store owner Ellis Madalena.
I think it's highly disrespectful for people to be flipping these, running around and trying to get hundreds of dollars for $10 toys.
So instead, all of the store's Black Panther figures will be auctioned off, with all proceeds going to the American Cancer Society.
I'm not going to make a cent. It's all going to charity. It's all going to a good cause.
A decision that would likely sit well with an on-screen king and hero.
A lot of bad things are going on right now. A little bit of light always can help.
Wakanda forever indeed. Now, the Broncos also paid tribute to Boseman this weekend. He portrayed Floyd Little in the 2008 film The Express. Though that movie followed former Browns player Ernie Davis, Davis first played football at Syracuse University. There he met Floyd Little, who went on to play for the Broncos. The team says Boseman played Floyd Little like all his roles, with grace and compassion. You can read more on Boseman's life and the tributes still pouring in right now on thedenverchannel.com.
An update tonight on Colorado wildfires. Firefighters working the Grizzly Creek fire are getting a lift from the Colorado Army National Guard. A Black Hawk helicopter will be used as a medical evacuation service to treat firefighters if they get hurt in the field. This is the fire that shut down I-70 in Glenwood Canyon for 2 weeks. It's burned 32,000 acres. Drier conditions could mean increased fire activity at the Williams Fork fire. This one's burning in Grand County. It's only 10% contained at more than 12,000 acres. Firefighters now cutting vegetation in the area to try to help contain the fire. The Cameron Peak fire in Larimer County has burned more than 23,000 acres. Firefighters did structure protection work this weekend. This fire is still 0% contained.
And if you missed it this weekend, we have to highlight Colorado Springs rescue crews. Firefighters waded into dangerous currents to rescue 2 children on Saturday. The kids were trapped on a rock in the middle of the creek. Recent storms caused water levels to rise fast, and it also created fast currents. Firefighters were able to get those kids out safely. They were not seriously injured.